I need this one.
Awkward angle.
Alright, so do you want me to go ahead and start, or?
It's better.
Yeah, go ahead. Is everyone ready? You ready?
Ready?
Okay.
Okay. So a big thing, like I mentioned earlier, is that everyone's got these ideas, things that they want to do. I mean, if you ask anybody that's like a kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? More than likely, they're going to have some kind of answer. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a dinosaur. And that's the nice thing about kids, is they look at the world and they're like, I'm going to do this. And there's no question, there's no, I can't do this. There's quite simply, I'm going to be this. And that's kind of how we need to look at the world. Because we get so caught up in, how am I going to do this? Why, is there actually something I can do with this? Is this going to help me support myself? All these questions, and we just bog ourselves down with negative thoughts and all of these questions, and we're not the only ones that are doing it. We've got, friends, family, people that are supposed to be there supporting us, tearing down these hopes and dreams, which is a problem. Because then nothing ever gets done, and people decide that nothing is ever going to get done. I mean, you go out and you talk about like world-changing ideas, and more likely than not, someone is going to tell you, you're an idiot. Why would you, what makes you think that you could do that? Because we as a society have decided that people aren't allowed to be special. Unless you're already special, unless you're already like freaking star athlete or insane program designer, unless you're Batman, Tony Stark, or like LeBron James, you're not allowed to be special. You're not allowed to be exceptional. And I don't think that's the case. I think that people can be special. I think that people are special. Because everyone's got different things that they want to do in the world. I mean, just this room alone, we've got like, what? I'm not good at math. That's not my special skill. 6, 7, 9. That what? No, that's 8.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 8. Never mind.
And
Okay.
9 including Steven.
Obviously, math isn't your special skill either.
No, wait, 9.
That's
Steven's
9.
9.
Oh, Steven. Okay, that's a laptop. I didn't count the laptop. But I mean, just within these
I don't know if
like
he's even listening. I don't hear him.
Yeah,
9
he is.
people, different interests. Environmentalist, doctor, financials, mortician in cemetery science, nonprofits in programming, in psychology. It's like completely different varying fields, but they're all kind of connected because we all want to try and do something that's going to better everyone else. And my big thing is that when someone has these thoughts, when someone has these dreams, the best thing that you can do is encourage that. The best thing you can do is like, oh hey, that sounds really cool. Like, how would you go about doing that? Like, be interested, be supportive, because we don't have enough of that in the world. People on a daily basis will not only get shot down by other people, but they'll shoot down themselves. Like, more often than not, the thoughts that go through our head are terribly negative. I'm a terrible driver. I'm bad at math. I'm a bad friend. We say these things to ourselves on a daily basis. And if we really want to do good in the world, we have to actually believe that we can. And we affect the world way more than we think we do, especially by the end of our lives. I mean, just imagine that you're a person, and this is the world. This Marcy's eye is the world. And you're just making little tiny footprints all across the world. All over it. And when it's just you, it doesn't seem like much until you get a few other people and they start to cross paths. And suddenly some of those footprints get bigger and bigger, and you're having more of an effect on the world. More things are changing. You're changing the landscape the more people that you empower to do things. And I think that's the most important thing that we can possibly do, is to not just, shoot for the stars in terms of what we think, but help other people get there, help other people believe that they can get there. Because that's our biggest obstacle, really. For changing the world, for changing society, our biggest obstacle is ourselves. Because we've decided that we're not good enough, because we've started to believe all the crap that everyone keeps telling us. And if we just kind of because we make a choice. We choose to believe that. They have not told us anything that is a hard fact. It's just their opinions. And just like we can choose to believe in a certain religion, or believe in, the fact that Transformers is a great movie, you're wrong, but that's okay. But see, you make that choice. And sometimes people are going to disagree with your choice, and that's okay. I mean, if you think that Transformers is a good movie, you're going to stand by that, whether people tell you you're wrong or not. So why can't you stand by your dreams? It shouldn't be as difficult as we make it. So we have to support other people. We have to be supportive and be supported ourselves. And if we can do that, then, maybe it'll look like this someday. And that's supposed to be a positive thing, just in case you guys aren't sure. But I mean, that's my big thing. And that's really it. It's not, I don't want to change the world, not particularly. I want to change people so that they can change the world. I mean, it's not going to be me, but it's going to be someone like Joe or Travis, someone that's got a dream that wants to affect the world as a whole. I just want to kind of change people so that they can get there.
You want to make more dreams happen.
Exactly.
I think you're doing that right now.
Well, good try.
For sure.
But yeah, that's really it. It's not going to take, I told you, it wasn't going to take me long for this.
Well, I mean, we can sit here and talk about it too, and
Yeah.
pick our brains and make this go on a little bit longer, because you bring up a really valid point about people bringing you down and stuff like that, and a lot of that, and especially yourself. Most people, myself included, often say, "I'm not good at that," or
Bullshit. You know more about technology
Exactly.
than
Well, I mean,
do
not just that,
ever.
other things too. But I mean, speaking from my own self thing, as long as I put my mind to it and work hard enough, I can be good at anything. And that's true of so many other people. But it's fear. A lot of people are afraid of what somebody else is going to say, what they're going to say about themselves, what a family member is. And it's interesting that this is your presentation, because I was actually listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, which I listen to often, and he had the guy who wrote the 48 Laws of Power. And he wrote some other books too, and he brought up a really good point on the reason why he wrote the book was for people to realize when they read the book, this is what's going on.
Right.
And he brought up, I guess he wrote a book, of all people, with 50 Cent. And the reason why he did that is because what he learned was that 50 Cent, and regardless of what you think about the man, is fearless, but he doesn't go into something being without fear.
Yeah.
They talked about it, and they talk in the book about it, and I want to read the book actually, and he talks about seeing the fear, knowing you're afraid of this, you're afraid of
Do it
failure,
anyway.
but you still go out and you do it, and you figure, okay, well, how can I get over this? And really strategizing and figuring out a way to get through that.
Yeah.
Do you have a comment on that, Colby?
No, I mean, I think he's definitely right. A lot of people in society, in our lives, our decisions are dictated by fear. And that's a big problem, because when we're afraid, we don't make rational decisions.
Yeah.
We make
Travis,
safe decisions.
Yeah.
You had something.
Yeah.
Did have something. Couldn't it be possible to take some of these criticisms as being constructive,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that we can develop a realistic framework for what we want to do, rather than it being
Definitely.
too, well, I don't want to say too large, because there really shouldn't be a limit, but we have to work, realistically, we have to work within our means, within our own strengths, our abilities, and our aptitude, to find what we are good at, to figure out what it is we're going to do and how and what purpose we're going to serve. So,
Hang on just a second.
okay. So, I'm just saying, I know the point is to address criticism, you know, and that sometimes it can be a bad thing, and to not let it deter people, but don't you think that's kind of, well, it's not necessarily always the criticism itself, but like how people interpret the criticism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely.
exactly.
How you
And
use it.
I mean, like you mentioned, ultimately it's an opinion.
Yeah.
It's an opinion, and it's how you interpret that opinion and how you use it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that when people are interpreting those criticisms, a lot of it is coming from that place of fear,
Yeah.
from that place of doubt. If we can let go of that, if we can accept
Mm-hmm.
in ourselves that we want to do this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, at that point, it's not criticism anymore. It's, you know, it's someone that's saying, well, I don't know if you can do this or not, or how are you going to do this? How are you going to finance this?
Right.
It becomes,
A source of
But
inspiration.
The point is to
Exactly.
not be so sensitive when the criticism arises,
Mhm.
so that you're not overwhelmed by fear or doubt or just trapped in that place. You have to repurpose that criticism for your own means.
and that's why a large part of this is, like, you want to empower the individual themselves. You want to be able to have people stand on their own
Yeah.
at a certain point.
They can't do
That's,
that
you know, it's
unless-
kind of one of my issues with religion, but that's not what we're going to talk
yeah.
about. Basically, you want to empower and support this person so that inside their mind, their self-talk changes.
Mhm.
They're not saying, I can't do this, I can't do this. It's, I can do this, but how am I going to?
Mhm.
It's not, how can I, it's how will I.
Mhm.
Like, we're going to do this, it's just a matter of figuring out
Mhm.
how to get there. That's the main thing. And once they can do that, those criticisms don't sound so bad.
Mhm.
We don't get so upset because we know what's going on. We know the game. And once you learn the rules, it's not such a big scary place, and you don't get so upset when things don't go according to plan.
Mhm.
You don't take the criticisms personally.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Quinn?
I was gonna ask, like, what is your plan on this vision? I mean,
Like, what am I going to do?
You're pursuing
well,
psychology.
your vision is to empower other individuals. Are you gonna set up like a tour and have like workshops around the world?
See,
or,
and that's my thing. Like, people have told me before, you should be a motivational speaker, Colby. Well, problem is that for something like this, to really empower another person, it has to be done on an individual basis because everyone is different. Now, there are a lot of people that a big motivational speech, that will like stick with them for, a week, maybe two, sometimes maybe three. But ultimately, they're going to get more out of a one-on-one conversation.
Mhm.
Like those big motivational speeches, yeah, they'll probably bring in a lot of money for that person. It'll make a lot of people feel good, but it's temporary because they're not really giving them the tools to stand on their own. It's a temporary support pillar. And when that good feeling goes away and that person's not there,
They get in their rut.
they get back into that rut again. They start being afraid, they start being doubtful, and it gets right back where you started. Travis?
It's almost like your primary and secondary groups of people you associate with, your primary being very close and intimate relationships that are supposed to be more long-term, and therefore, because they are more long-term and intimate, they are supposed to have the most effect, whereas, people in the secondary class or whatever, that's your educational and your business,
Right.
your networking, and while you do find people that can meet your goals, motivate you, whatever, you have people to associate with, but for how long, it's
Exactly.
kind of.
Ultimately,
I'm just trying to draw an analogy to that.
whatever you achieve is is going to be done on your shoulders, not someone else's. They can help you get there, but a lot of it is going to be on you. And I mean, that's a pretty terrifying thing. Lose or win, like it's all on you, and that's a terrifying thought. But we have to accept that, and it goes right back to what Joe was saying about being afraid and doing it anyway. And I mean, I used to have a real big problem with that. Now it's gotten to the point where if I'm afraid of something, it means I'll probably be doing it, unless it's something that's like obvious terrifying, like jumping in a shark tank or off a bridge or jumping off of anything that's like more than 10 feet up. My legs can't take that anymore. I'm getting old.
A couple comments here. One of the things I think you're talking about is turning objections into additional information that can get you on the path for what you want to accomplish. And I think that's an excellent perspective.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing I want to mention is, if one wishes, they can combine motivational speaking and then they can combine motivational speaking and then do one-on-one work afterwards in a workshop.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that, and I've done that. I've done motivational speaking and then one-on-one or a workshop to help people integrate the information from the talk. And also you can set up sessions from that. You can say, okay, great, I'm going to be in town for 4 days. I have a space at 1 o'clock, so is that a good time? So you can use so many things you can do where you can combine both forces and be very effective.
I think that's a very good point. It's part of the reason why, I want to go into psychology. Why I want to, the end goal, if I was going to have one, would be to set up my own practice. Because I mean, people don't go to therapy because they have other people to talk to. They don't go to therapy because they have support. They go to talk to this person. They pay to talk to this person because they don't have support. 1 day a week's not going to cut it. Like that realistically, if someone's coming in with no support from any of their close friends or acquaintances, that's not realistic. That 1 day a week with this person that's going to sit there and listen to you is going to cut it. And I don't know if you guys ever saw, any of y'all ever see a movie called Charlie Bartlett? Oh, really great movie. Charlie Bartlett was this kid, got thrown out of all these different private schools, because he kept making, the last one he got thrown out of was because he was making fake driver's licenses. And then he went to high school, and he starts, faking different mental illnesses to get his psychiatrist, who's on call because his mother's, super rich, to write prescriptions. And he starts hanging out in the guy's bathroom, talking to all of these students about their problems. And eventually one of them, ODs, and it's really bad. And so he stops giving out these medications, but he keeps talking to people. And one of the things that he says is, I'm not going to be giving out medications anymore. And that probably means that a lot of you guys are done talking to me. So, and I mean, that's okay. But for those of you that still are, I'm going to be in my office, which is a bathroom, having regular sessions. And him and this, dude from across the train tracks who's, a total jerk, but he's not really. He just acts that way. And he's like, I'm done talking to you. And the very next day, there's, kids lined up outside of the bathroom, ready to talk to Charlie Bartlett, and his buddy's right there. He's like, I thought this wasn't gonna happen. I didn't believe in you. I guess I was wrong. So I think we really do underestimate how much listening and really talking with another person can do. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the medication. It's not, your friends and your family. It's not the people on Facebook. It's you. And if you can talk to another person and empower that, give them that inner strength to stand on their own, I mean, they can do whatever they want at that point. It's just, getting that strength in themselves so that they become the pillar. And when everything else falls, they're still there because they're supporting themselves.
Your vision actually sounds really similar to mine.
Yeah, it actually is. It's actually kind of a combination of yours and Milliman's, really. It's more of that starting point. You know, getting that person on the path to what they want to do. At that point, you have someone like Milliman come in. You know, how are you going to get there? How are we going to, like, I believe in you. I support you. Let's make a plan. And, like, people really do benefit from that. But they have to be able to start that path on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get that initial setup, you start networking with friends and followers and people that really do believe in this and are willing to, like, put their 2 cents in to make it happen. And I think that that's really important.
There's something that I wanted to mention here.
Go for it.
I really like what you're talking about helping people, kind of lighting their flames and getting them going. Because, you know, that's basically what I see myself doing with my friends and at work.
No, get back here.